Welcome to the City of Bakersfield Planning Commission meeting. This television broadcast is brought to you by the local cable companies, the County of Kern, and the City of Bakersfield. You can watch the rebroadcast of this meeting Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 10 a.m. The agenda for this meeting can be downloaded at www.bakersfieldcity.us. Presiding over this evening's meeting, Vice Chair Zach Bashertash.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to call to order the June 2nd of 2022 Planning Commission meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call to roll?
Chair Cater, Vice Chair Bashertash,
Here.
Commissioner Biddle, Commissioner Coman,
Here.
Commissioner Lomas,
Here.
Commissioner Neal,
Here.
Commissioner Wade.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and move on to public statements. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the commission regarding items listed on tonight's agenda?
Yes, Commissioners. The applicant would like to have item 5B, the extension of time for map 6410, pulled from the consent agenda for separate hearing.
Okay,
Okay, it's been pulled.
thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the commission regarding items not listed on tonight's agenda? If so, please come forward and state your name. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 4, consent calendar items.
All matters listed under the consent items do not require a public hearing and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of said items unless staff or commissioner requests specific items be discussed and are removed from separate action. May I get a motion approving the consent items?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Ms. Lomas, and second by Mr. Coman.
Motion is approved with Chair Cater absent, Commissioner Wade absent, and Commissioner Biddle absent.
Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 5, consent public hearings.
Now is the time for consent public hearing items. If the item is not removed by commissioner, staff, or a member of the public, the commission will vote on the items in one motion without further comment. If an item is removed, it will be placed at the end of the non-consent public hearing items. At this time, I will open all of the consent public hearing items. We already removed that one item, correct?
That's correct.
Does any commissioner or staff wish to remove a consent public hearing item? At this time, the consent public hearing items not removed are now closed. May I get a motion to adopt staff's recommendation on the consent public hearing items not removed, incorporating all staff memoranda and revised staff recommendations? Cassie Biddle just arrived. Welcome. She is here. Commissioner Biddle.
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. That was
Commissioner Neal.
Neil and Miss Lomas.
You're not logged in?
And technical issue here real quick.
Can we do a roll call? Roll call vote?
Yeah, we'll do a roll call vote.
Okay. Vice Chair Bashertash,
Yes.
Commissioner Neal, Commissioner Lomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Biddle,
Yes.
Commissioner Coman.
Yes.
Motion is approved with Chair Cater absent and Commissioner Wade absent.
Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item 6, non-consent public hearings.
Now is the time for non-consent public hearing items. Before we begin, I want to explain how each hearing will be conducted. Staff will first give a report, then those in favor of the project will be allowed to speak. Those in opposition to the project will be able to speak after all of those in favor have spoken. Each side will be given 5 minutes to provide rebuttal comments. Individual speakers may ask questions during their statements, but the questions will be not answered until the public hearing on that item is closed. Written comments may be given to the clerk, who will provide copies to the commission. Please be respectful of others participating in the hearing by not repeating the remarks of previous speakers and presenting any new comments or thoughts in a concise and clear way. Mr. Johnson, would you please provide us with your staff report?
Yes, thank you, Commissioners, member of the audience. Tonight I will have Principal Planner Jenny Ng present the project.
Good evening. This item is a request for a one-year extension of time for vesting tentative track map 6410. The location is on the north side of Taft Highway and both sides of Acres Road in southwest Bakersfield. In April of 2005, your Planning Commission approved this vesting tentative tract that allows 140 single-family residential lots on 65.64 acres. In May of 2008, the Planning Commission approved a 2-year extension of time, and in April 2019, the Planning Commission approved a 3-year extension. In April of 2019, the Planning Commission approved a 3-year extension of time. All automatic extensions of time approved by the state legislature have been applied to this tentative map. The Subdivision Map Act allows the Planning Commission to approve up to 6 years of extensions of time, and this request is the final year of the 6 years allowed. In November of 2008, Phase 1 of this tentative map recorded that contained 55 lots on 59 acres. And in November 2021, Phase 2 of this map recorded containing 32 lots on 11.6 acres. And single-family homes are currently being constructed in the area. And staff is recommending approval of the 1-year extension of time. Thank you.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the project? Please step up to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed.
Hi, this is Benjamin. I'm not in favor. I'm on the owner of the property 37 lot.
Excuse me, you said you're in favor or not in favor?
Not in favor.
Okay, we're going with in favor
Oh,
first.
okay, my bad.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Patrick Ferran. I'm the attorney.
You use the microphone, please.
Do you guys refer to this time as afternoon or evening? I'm a little confused, but.
Depends on all the people talking.
Yeah.
I'll start off with good afternoon, and we'll go from there. My name is Patrick Ferran. I'm the attorney for the applicant who wrote the memorandum in support of the extension of time for Track 6410. I first want to thank each of the commissioners for hearing this item and for serving as commissioners. I have spent over 20 years of my career as either a deputy city attorney or a deputy county counsel, so I know how valuable your service is. I know you all take personal sacrifices to be here, and I just want to thank you for your public service because it's an important job, and I just wanted to thank you for taking that on. We're here today to talk about Track 6410, and the staff has taken the position that we're only entitled to a one-year extension at this point in time. I prepared a memorandum that's part of the package that sets forth that there's a statutory exception that allows more time when there's a moratorium in effect. And I have presented that argument in detail in our papers. One thing that I hadn't heard yet from staff was whether or not they're still asserting the position that it's premature for us to argue this point at this time. So that was not addressed by the initial staff report. So if I could get some clarity on that point, because that was not mentioned as to what the recommendation is on that point.
I think we'll get to the question part.
If you'd like staff to answer that question, that staff does believe the request that he's about to speak about, the 5-year moratorium, is premature at this time.
Okay.
Staff believes that the 1-year request is what's before your commission for consideration.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I would like to address that point. In all due respect, we have a different interpretation of the law, and I think our interpretation is supported by the statutory language, which I would like to share with you. Now, if I remember how to turn this thing on.
It's already on.
Oh, it's already, okay, there we go. Let's start with the Bakersfield Municipal Code. The section dealing with the extension of maps is 16.16.080, and it has some pretty straightforward language. It says the subdivider may request an extension of the map by written application to the advisory agency, and it says the application shall state the reasons for requesting the extension. There's no limitation on it has to be on this ground and not that ground. It's pretty open-ended. And I think that's the very first point that supports our argument that this commission is entitled, and in fact is legally obligated, to hear our moratorium argument with this current application that is before you. The next statute that I'd like to bring to the attention of the commissioners is the government code. And this is the very statute upon which the Bakersfield Municipal Code section I just pointed out is based upon. And this language is very important because our argument is that due to the circumstances surrounding this tract and the conditions of this tract, there has been a statutory moratorium as defined by this statute. And this statute says the period of time specified in any extension shall include, and note the word shall not include any period of time during which a development moratorium is in existence. So again, it says the period of time in the extension before you today shall not include any period of time during which a development moratorium is in existence. We have presented a compelling argument that there is a development moratorium in existence, and by this statute, this 1 year must include whatever period of time this commission determines the moratorium was in existence. So this is at the point where I respectfully disagree with staff's position that this issue is premature because from our perspective, the unambiguous statutory language, which uses the word shall, says that the 1 year you're going to give us, which this commission has a policy of graciously automatically granting, it shall not include the moratorium period. So how can you determine what length of extension we're entitled to without addressing this issue now with this current application? If it's not addressed with this current application, staff's position is we come back next spring, like even if we submit our application the first time we can, it's 60 days before the expiration. How can any business person make wise business decisions over the next 9 months or 10 or 12 months, not even knowing what's going to happen in the last 60 days? I mean, this city prides itself on being business friendly, and I believe it tries to be in all instances. But part of being business friendly is providing businesses information in a meaningful and timeful manner. And to kick this can down the road to like next spring, that's basically denying the motion without a hearing, because we can't assume it's going to be granted next spring. So it's basically taking it off the table for us, because we need to make financial investments and decisions based upon what the future holds for us. And the statute says that this should be addressed now. And it makes sense. I mean, sometimes Sacramento passes legislation that doesn't make sense, but this makes sense. It says it shall not include the moratorium period. So we are asking this commission to either hear the moratorium argument today or grant the 1 year today and continue the hearing on the moratorium argument for not more than 90 days, but sometime in the future. Maybe you'll have a fuller commission then, maybe other commissioners will want to weigh in on this. But we think that is the fairest approach, and to be honest, the only approach that's consistent with the statute. The statute that I was pointing to with that language is the very same statute that refers to the total of 6 years in subdivision E. So the 6-year rule that the Bakersfield Municipal Code is based upon, it didn't come out of thin air. It was based upon the state statute. And so when the state statute says the period of time specified in subdivision A, including any extension granted pursuant to subdivision E, it's talking about the 6-year rule. It's expressly talking about that. And so it basically says, if at any time during that 6-year rule there's a moratorium, then the moratorium period shall not count towards that 6 years. So from our perspective, we're just trying to do what we think is reasonable within the statute, and we don't like taking a contrary position to staff, because we know I've been in a staff position and I've been in issues like this many times before, and I hate taking a position against staff, but we were compelled to do so here because it's our only choice. We can talk a little bit, and I'm not sure if you guys want to hear the whole moratorium argument now, or do you want to continue this item? I'll give you a nutshell summary of it with the understanding, if I could have that if you want to hear it today, I'll have a chance to speak again and develop this argument in more detail for the commissioners. But here's the situation in a nutshell. Here is track 6410, and all the lots are disappeared. This map is here just to emphasize the issue we're dealing with here. We've got a Kern Delta District Canal ditch going right through phase 3, the remainder. And we also have that red line is a PG&E gas line, a regional gas line. And in order to, and there's a condition on the map, a condition that states that we are responsible for rerouting that canal in a manner and I'm paraphrasing here, in a manner that's acceptable to Kern Delta Water District. We've been working with Kern Delta Water District for over a decade trying to get this canal rerouted. And when you look at it, there's two basic ways of doing that. We could reroute the canal so that it is totally off the map. There's a farmer's canal, I'm not sure how far, maybe 3/4 of a mile down the road, where we could just have the water rerouted from the farmer's canal and around without even touching this area. Unfortunately, that has turned out to be impossible because the water district has a requirement that in this situation, the landowner receiving the water has to approve any kind of rerouting, and the landowner to the south was not willing to agree to that. So that became impossible. And then, so once it's clear that we cannot take it off the track in its entirety and have to reroute it within the tract, that would require crossing the PG&E gas line. And this is the track map that was originally approved by this commission years ago. And on the original track map, there was a 30-foot easement for the rerouting of that canal. And that's become impossible because one of the requirements that that the water district has for this rerouting is that it be granted superior rights by PG&E at the new crossing location, and that was not acceptable to PG&E. So we currently are in a situation where there has been a moratorium. Under the statute, and returning to the statute, the moratorium is defined in subsection F. It says, a development moratorium includes actions of public agencies that regulate land use development or the provision of services to the land, which prevents, prohibits, or delays the approval of a final or tract map. So our position is that the water district's requirements for this rerouting have simply prevented, prohibited, and or delayed the approval of the final map because we can't satisfy that condition. That needs to be satisfied. Now, I'll take a break now so I can leave time for questions and any kind of rebuttal. But I think that what I do want to emphasize, though, is pursuant to the language in the statute, which I had presented earlier, I want to leave with this point because it's, I think, a very strong point that needs to be emphasized. The state statute says the period of time specified within the 6-year, and it refers to the statutes that incorporate the 6-year rule. So it's the period of time specified in any extension within the 6-year rule shall not include any period of time during which a development moratorium is in existence. So again, I do not believe this commission can not address that issue and still be consistent with that statute, in my humble opinion. And I will leave it at that for now because I'm not sure whether you guys want to continue the moratorium issue, and I can speak more about that now, or how procedurally you guys want to proceed on this issue, because there seems to be kind of two prongs to it.
Yeah, this time it's just in favor of what was proposed to us.
Okay, so obviously I'm in favor, obviously, of granting the 1-year extension today. I am not in favor of not addressing, excuse me, not addressing the moratorium issue. We believe by this statutory language, the city is compelled, excuse me, the city is compelled to address that issue with this current application before you. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor of the project or what's proposed?
Vice Chair Bastratash?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to say something on behalf of the city.
Sure.
So the city staff does not oppose applicant's 1-year extension of time on the map. But I would like to clarify that the applicant did submit 2 requests to the planning department. The 1-year extension of time and for the commission to make findings as to whether a development moratorium exists and therefore should be applied to the map. The applicant was advised that in writing that the development moratorium request was premature since there is still a 1-year extension of time left on the track map, and that pursuant to Bakersfield Municipal Code Section 16.16080 subsection C, an extension of time request shall not be filed sooner than 60 days prior to the expiration of the tentative map. For this reason, the development moratorium request is not subject to the Commission's consideration and action at this time. The Planning Department included a copy of the applicant's moratorium request and the City Attorney's response in tonight's agenda packet at the request of the applicant. Otherwise, we wouldn't have, because it's not part of the agenda. Applicant was directed to submit its development moratorium request before their final 1-year extension expires, with actual proof that such a moratorium exists. So tonight, staff does recommend that the 1-year extension be granted, but only that.
Thank you.
Oh, and one more thing, that I know that it was mentioned. The development moratorium request cannot be continued tonight because it wasn't agendized and it wasn't noticed.
Of course.
So it's not an option tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have an opportunity to respond?
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Not until
Okay.
we've got one more section to
You'll
go
let
through.
me know. Well, all right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the project? Please step forward to the microphone, identify yourself, and then proceed. Benjamin? It's going to be real awkward for Benjamin when he walks back in.
Alrighty, so this is Benjamin, owner on lot 37,
Benjamin, what's your last name?
Amezcua,
Can you spell that for us?
AMEZCUA.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we just got this letter in mail a couple of days ago about what's going on. I don't know, how can we turn this on? Okay. So what as what we know of is that they're trying to make 140 homes, right? Okay. This is where we stay at right here. Me and my neighbors. Phase 1 is phase 2. So they're trying to do all this, 140 homes, with only 2 entrances. Rolling Rock and this one. I don't know if you guys are, how you guys find that out, if it's good or bad. 140 homes for just one exit and the other one. And right here, there's another 3 cul-de-sacs, and it has the saying that it has a high school, which has homes behind us. But I don't know if it's late or that, we're trying to have them put another at least 3 more exits or entrance for these 140 homes around our neighborhood. I had another one, but I forgot it. But yeah, I don't know how you guys, is that good or bad? We're just doing a little compliment. I mean, it's going to be a bunch of traffic get off for schools. Right now, it's a bunch of traffic here at the corner where the bus stop is. Imagine all this 140 homes with one entrance and the other one. I think it's going to be too complicated for our kids. Cars passing by right now, it's over 25, And myself, I can really keep my kids playing outside because for this neighborhood and all this right here right now, cars pass over 30 miles per hour. Imagine all this traffic. That would be it for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition?
Hello, my name is Jose Luis Rodriguez. I live on 4100 Rolling Rock Avenue, the corner house here. And as it is right now, we have to deal with traffic on Acres and Taft Highway. We got all this traffic going over 55 miles per hour on Acres, busting donuts all over our street. I hardly try to slow down traffic because I live on the corner from phase 1 and phase 2. And there's a continuation of this track going on right now. They're barely done with one house, not even halfway done. We have to deal with a lot of construction traffic with one entrance. They don't even have the second entrance yet because they're looking for a 1-year extension. For this development that they started in 2005, we moved over here in 2017. Our tract homes where we bought the house told us that there's just going to be one development of 31 houses, 31 more houses. So they said it's good to buy here. It's blocked, it's cul-de-sacs. All behind here, all of these houses, they have cul-de-sacs. They have their private. They're very private. Now, our community is not going to be private anymore because it's going to be over with our second tract home in the other phase is going to be over 162 houses with one entrance and one exit. How are we going to deal with that? Over 161 houses, over. Our privacy is gone. We got Taft Highway over here. Why don't they make entrance and exits here on Taft Highway for the community? Why? Because they're building more houses. They're interested in building and making money. They could make 2 entrances here, right here by next to the dump. There's plenty of room here to make another entrance, but they're building 2 houses. That's why they don't want to build another entrance. They can build 2 entrances here. Or why not open some of the entrances with our neighbors, where they're going to be able to keep their privacy, but we don't. There won't be no privacy anymore. We don't know who is going to move into those 140 houses. And it's very tough to find good neighbors. As it is right now, I brought 4 neighbors with me, and I went to knock on those houses, and they said that they don't know nothing about this. They only knew about the second phase, the 31 houses that they're barely starting to build right now. So it just put us in a bad spot for our kids, our community, in dealing with accidents. That what we're gonna have going through that street every day as they start to build again. We already have that right now with one house out of the other tract home. So we need more entrances, more exits. If they want to keep up with the community, we just need more entrances, more exits. With one entrance and one exit, is just whoever comes from Stein is going to go across this entrance to come around to go to Acres and come across to go to Taft Highway. And whoever comes from Taft Highway is going to try to go across just to get to McKee or to Hoskins to get to Stein faster. They're dealing with the speed because they're coming from work or they're going camping. It's just going to be we're going to be full of traffic and full of accidents that we can prevent right now before they start any development there. And I have 6 kids. And I mean, I feel very secure right now in that community, you know. It's Cooper Creek. It's very big homes, very quiet area. And we have our peace right now. And we want our peace just like the community right here. There's four streets right here that I don't know why they're not showing those streets. They're cul-de-sacs. 4 cul-de-sacs where they are very private and they're living very peaceful. Because then if anybody tries to go across, they can't. It's a cul-de-sac. They will have to get out of the neighborhood. With our community being open like that, with one entrance and one exit, it's just going to be a chaos for us. You know, we can't find another place to live. We're very happy here in Bakersfield. You know, I've been here since 2003, and I love it. You know, it's the best move I did for my kids and for my life, my own personal life. So I wish to be heard or to give us time to talk to my community and get a petition signed, because it's not right for us, for our community, you know. I don't know, it might be good for developments who make money, who get rich, but not for our family that want to be in peace, you know. We go to work every day, want to come back to a peaceful, you know, community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Does any commissioner have any questions for the public on this item? So, that's okay. What was your name, sir? I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. My name is Eduardo Garcia. It's in 4,100 Auguston is my home. It's close to acre and 119. And I say when it's out to enter in 119 too, sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes it's too many cars in the back, so it's high speed. But when the people is coming and sees enter more in this area, it's much better, open more exit, more streets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, close to the 119, I think so. That's the better idea. Yeah, because the street is bigger. In this area, the trees is not looking good, so I need to be real careful and move it to look in. And when it's coming another cars in this side, sometimes using the claps and they say, hey, you're too far, but the line is in this area. But the trees sometimes is hard to look in. So when it's a good day, it's fine, but when it's foggy, it's not good. It's hard to pass in this area. So that's better, more exit. That's the only way I say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Does any commissioner have any questions for the public on this item? Remember to limit your questions to the 1-year extension of the time request, as the moratorium request was not agendized for tonight and is not an action item.
I have some questions, both for the city and for some of the folks that spoke tonight. Okay, I'll start with my questions for you. You said that, I know that the moratorium, we're not deciding on that, but I believe that does factor at least into my decision on whether to vote yes or no on the 1-year extension or what comments to make on that. My question is actually for the city to start. You said that that the moratorium must be filed 60 days prior to the expiration of the existing track map, right?
An extension of time.
An extension time.
Yes.
Right. And how long, if that expires, what is it, April of 2023? So
Correct.
If it were filed on the 60th day before, would it actually make it onto the Planning Commission's calendar?
As long as it's filed before the 60 days, it can come to the commission 90 days after. It doesn't have to come within the 60 days.
You're saying that is premature right now, and we're 8 months out? So at what point can they file it and get it on the calendar before the expiration of the extended time?
So they would have to file it 60 days before it expires, so sometime in January. And then depending on the calendar for Planning Commission and when it could actually come, I mean, I can't tell you if it would come in April or in May, but it would be honored as being timely filed.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, that's my question. Yeah. Okay, so it wouldn't be impossible for.
No.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. That was my only question on that issue.
Could I add some clarification to the point you raised? 1 year is going to be April 25th, 2023. So 60 days before that is going to be February 25th, 2023. I just wanted to clarify that point. And I also would like to clarify the issue that the moratorium is somehow not on the agenda. I strongly disagree with that. I've read the notice of public hearing that was sent to the public. I'm looking at your agenda, and the agenda item is described as a request for extension of time. It doesn't say it's a request for extension of time for 1 year and nothing else. It's a very generic notice, which, in my opinion, having served almost 25 years as a government lawyer, that's totally proper notice, especially when someone who looks at this agenda description can click on a link and see the entire moratorium argument. So this is very ripe and very in front of this commission. The city, when they set forth their position, they ignored the statutory language that I had pointed out several times in my presentation. This language is unambiguous. I have not heard a contrary interpretation of this language which would support the city's recommendation. I think it's that simple, commissioners. I think we need to either grant the moratorium today or continue that part of the hearing. That's clearly within your discretion. It's on the agenda. I don't understand how someone could say it's not on the agenda. It's not within their recommendation, but that does not define what's on the agenda. The notice of the hearing item and the items related to that hearing item define what's on the agenda.
I have a follow-up question to that for the city. Evan, do we have a response to that, the city?
Yes, the Brown Act is very specific as to how items are agendized. And so if we don't particularly spell out what is being voted on, it is not considered to be part of the agenda. The agenda was specifically for a 1-year extension of time. We did not address a development moratorium, which is very specific and very different than what the applicant is requesting.
Did the application from the applicant address the moratorium?
Yes, it did.
So then that should have been included on the agenda language?
No, because again, it's premature pursuant to our municipal code for them to request a development moratorium at this time.
But wouldn't that go into your recommendation to staff, but we still put on the agenda the fact that it was requested by the applicant?
We wouldn't, no. We would just bring up that 1-year extension of time. And the development moratorium, they can bring up 6 days before it expires.
So we're deciding at the staff level that it's premature.
Correct.
That happens kind of across the board. As a practice. I'm asking because I'm a new commissioner.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And if I could again respond to that, your questioning suggests that you're in tune with what our thinking is on this, and that is, do I need to turn this back on to get this overhead thing to work? Or? Yes, our entire application is as the Bakersfield Municipal Code expressly states, this is a written application to the advisory agency. The Planning Commission is the advisory agency. With all due respect, I do not understand how city staff thinks they can be in a position to basically not submit our entire application to the advisory agency, but for them to pick and choose what they think the advisory agency should hear. I think that's not right. I mean, you guys are the appointees of the elected officials, I would imagine, unless in the city maybe you're elected separately. But anyway, you are the public officials who, under the Bakersfield Municipal Code, decide these matters. Staff doesn't tell you what to do with these things. They can make recommendations, but they can't basically pick and choose what part of an applicant's application comes before the commission. That is simply not done. In my experience in government service, this is a democracy where elected officials hear items. It's not a system where someone can come between the constituents of a government and their advisory agencies and say, this advisory agency is not going to hear this. I've never come across that before in my entire career. I do understand this moratorium issue may have never been argued before this commission before, and I understand that it raises some issues that are maybe ones of first impression for the city and perhaps staff. I understand that, and I've been in their shoes, and I understand the concerns with that. But I also understand that you folks are the commissioners, and it's your job to apply the Bakersfield Municipal Code. And again, I just don't think it's proper for staff to tell you guys what part of an application you can hear and can't hear. They can make recommendations, by all means, and they should, but they can't say you can't hear this. I just strongly disagree with that. And I think a compromise would be to grant the 1 year now and to continue the hearing on the moratorium argument for no more than 90 days, or you could grant the moratorium position we have. And our application was not two requests. It wasn't a request for a 1 year and a moratorium extension on top of that. The application is part of your package. The application says, see memorandum for the grounds for the extension. And in the very first paragraph of the memorandum, we clearly state we're seeking an extension of 1 year under one statute, and under the moratorium statute, more years. So we're obviously at the mercy of the commission, and you guys, it's your discretion that should control here. I just want to make sure that it's your discretion and that you have all the issues in front of you, which we think you should have in front of you. And staff made a suggestion that we were advised it was premature to make this argument. We only got that notification after we had submitted our application and after we had submitted our lengthy moratorium argument with 18 exhibits that support the facts surrounding that, the facts that surround our moratorium argument. So we put a lot of work into getting this before the commission. And it wasn't, it was time and money was put into this application. And it's very frustrating to not have that be heard, especially a city like Bakersfield, who likes to be reasonable and business friendly. It just rubs me the wrong way, I'm sorry.
I just have one follow-up question. Sure. Where does the rule come from, the 60-day rule?
It's in our municipal code.
Okay.
Yes.
That it needs to be submitted at least 60 days before.
It says actually no sooner than 60 days.
No sooner than,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then, okay, that makes sense. All right, well, that answers my question on that issue.
And to follow up on that briefly, our application was submitted 60 days before the expiration of our map. Our map was expiring on April 25th, 2022. So when we submitted our application before that expiration date, the moratorium argument was very ripe, and so was, all our arguments were timely presented, because when we submitted our application, our expiration date was April 25th, 2022. So we followed the statute. within 60 days of April 25th, 2022, we submitted our application. And as the municipal code states, it says we shall state the reasons for requesting the extension. That's what we've done. We've followed the rules. And we're just asking the city to follow its own rules and to give us due process and to consider the matter.
And our counter argument is that he still has 1 year left on the map. You don't file all your EOTs at the same time just because you want to.
That makes sense. So because there's the one additional year, and from what I can see, there's a staff recommendation to actually grant that additional year.
Correct.
The applicant will have an opportunity to come back later and apply for the 5-year moratorium.
Correct.
Well, and I appreciate the Commissioner's patience on this. But if I could briefly respond to that, even as we sit here right now, our expiration date is April 25th, 2022. If we submitted no application at all, and we just let that thing come and go, our map would have expired. So it's a fiction to say that our expiration date has always been April 25, 2023, just because we had 1 year left under the 6-year rule. It was April 25th, 2022, but for us submitting this application. And by submitting this application, we are now in a position to request a 1-year extension under the 6-year rule, but also under the state statute to argue that there's a moratorium justifying more time. And again, no one from the city has offered a contrary interpretation of that state statute because, frankly, there isn't one. And that's, frankly, a little frustrating from our perspective, too. We follow the rules, we follow the statutes. We just want to be heard on the matter. We'll trust the commissioner's discretion on this as far as to whether how long of a moratorium they think we're entitled to and so forth. I mean, you're the professionals, who sit on your chairs in public responsibility. We're willing to obviously live with your decision, but we want to be heard. We want to be heard.
Thank you.
Can I ask one more question? And it's not, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. It's not to you, but it's to the city. Are we able to address the community members that showed up tonight talking about the entrance and egress to their neighborhood? Because that's a serious thing for people. And if there's something that can be clarified from the maps, that would be really helpful.
We have to give them an opportunity for rebuttal first, and then after that, we'll have time for comments and questions. I don't think, kind of bypass the rebuttal. I don't know where to go from here. Do we allow?
I think we probably have to do it formally just because we didn't start the clock.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask a more direct question. I think it follows what Commissioner Neal was asking, specifically to staff, is whether we have any authority at this point to entertain or request any changes to that map.
Map as it relates to the streets, the other issues?
Yeah, the homeowners are asking for some changes to that map, which include entrances and exits. This is one of the problems we have when we have a map that's almost 20 years old now. Was approved at a different time. Do we have any authority to ask for or request changes to that map?
Commissioner Coleman, through the chair. Since the request before you is an extension of time, if you would like to change the map, really what that would require is a denial of the extension of time, and they would have to apply for a new map. You cannot arbitrarily change a map that's been approved 17 years ago, just unless there's a life safety issue, and that would probably be done through substantial conformance. When it's appropriate, I can kind of speak on the entrance and exits that the members of the audience have, because I appreciate them coming out commenting. But I would say at this time, if you want the map changed, you would deny the request for an extension of time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So at this point, we're going to have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to reiterate, there's been discussion about...
I'm sorry, the secretary, can you please start the clock?
The clock, yeah, sorry.
Thank you again for all your time. I just want to reiterate that staff's position is that our remedy is to do another application, submit it, the earliest we could submit it would be February 25th, 2023, and that's our remedy. That's the way the statute intended our moratorium argument to be heard. I've already pointed out the statutory language to you, to the commissioners several times, but I also want to remind you of a comment I made earlier that in this situation, you know, there's a saying like delayed justice is no justice at all. That applies clearly to this situation because we have to make decisions on this track, like really, I mean, this year, and we need to make decisions based upon how much time we have to see those decisions to their end, you know, to invest money in this property and to develop it in a way that's meaningful. And to say that our only way to do that is to wait till the very end of this map on February 25th and submit an application, which we have no guarantee it's going to be heard, you know, it can be heard up to 60 days after our expiration date. I'm not sure when it's going to be put on the agenda. We have no control over that. So delayed justice is no justice at all in this situation. I mean, the government code, this thing on still, or I hate to keep pointing this language, but no one seems to want to talk about it but me. I mean, it's there in black and white. It says, the period of time specified in any extension granted shall not include any period of time during which a development moratorium is in existence. We're here today to talk about granting an extension of time. So this is clearly a timely point in the history of this map to raise this issue. In fact, it's the only really time to do it because, as I mentioned, to have us wait till 6 days before the expiration is really, it's not meaningful to us. It's like you're denying it without ever hearing the item, because we can't plan and expect, you know, how many years we're going to get, you know, next year. We need to know that now. The statute says we're entitled to know now, and I still don't understand why this is an issue. And if anyone reads the agenda does not mention 1 year at all. It just says it's an agenda item for an extension of time. So it's clearly before the commission. I don't understand staff's position to the contrary. That's what the agenda says. So I'm open to any questions, and I hope you have some, because this is an item that has me a little perplexed, to be honest. I understand the concern about saving the commission time and from not having them hear items which staff doesn't think they need to hear right now. But for the reasons I've conveyed today, I hope the commissioners understand why this needs to be heard with this current application, because delayed justice is no justice. I'm sorry. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. So we'll have a little over a minute. Does anyone else wish to speak to that rebuttal? No?
You mean in favor?
In favor, yeah. Seeing no one, go ahead. You have time still.
No, I really have not a whole lot more to add. I was just going to stand up here with the hope you would want to talk about this some more, but maybe that's wishful thinking.
At this time, we would allow those to speak in opposition. If you had nothing else to say, we'd give them 5 minutes to allow them to speak again. Can you reset the clock, please? Thank you so much.
Hi, it's Jose Luis Rodriguez again.
One One moment, please.
Okay, talking about safety, right? If we got only one entrance and one exit with a community of 199 houses, including the new phase track being built and done, how are we going to deal with a fire or the fire department going in and going out, or any shooting or any destruction or terrorizing with one exit and one exit, entrance and exit? We need to change on this Prince, because he's not going to live over there. No one is going to live there. You guys are not going to live there. We live there right now. And they're going to cover the water canal. That's a big issue. The water canal connects to the sun. They're waited almost 17 years to do this project. Why didn't they start it 17 years ago? And other people, developers, got ahead of them because of the water canal, that they're trying to find a way to direct the water canal. They're going to end up putting concrete on top of it and do it underground. And this is not safe for the community. So I think that if you can help us change this project, these blueprints can be changed. They're asking for more time because they're not ready. And we're not ready to see all these developments go through my street every day. It was going to bother our neighbors' peace. You know, I work 16, 17 hours a day. I'm a truck driver. And I come home to relax, to be at home at least 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. And these constructions don't let you relax. There's noise. They start sometimes at 6 a.m. Mixers go in with concrete early. We're only ready for these 31 homes that are building right now. They're building one house right now on the second track, and they have they already have the streets in curb and gutters done, and they have our streets blocked. Like they were gonna right now, they're cul-de-sacs. Any planner can go over there and see their cul-de-sacs. But once their project starts, they're gonna open. They're gonna be open because there's gonna be the only entrance, and they don't even have the other entrance ready to begin the project. So it is a safety issue for our community. You know, with all these shootings, anything can go wrong with any of our neighbors. The fire department is gonna have issues going in there with trucks. And, you know, talking about policemen, you know, how we're going to get to our houses if there's something going on in the middle of the street. So please let us be heard, and so that gives us time to talk to our neighbors, because this is not right for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? In opposition?
Vice Chair Bastratash?
Yes, ma'am.
I would just reiterate my main points, that the development moratorium was premature and the applicant can submit that request 60 days before the map actually expires. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now close the public hearing on this item and return to the commission for comment and action. If any commissioner has questions, please.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, can we hear from you now on the entrance and egress into that neighborhood?
That was the question I was going to ask, so that's exactly the same question.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to respond, and I have some other comments that I can offer a response to. Regarding egress and ingress, this map was approved again in 2005. There are 3 points of ingress to this site. Zooming in, if you noticed, nothing more can be put on the west side. You have the school that's there. There's already, I'll just say, 2 on the north side. to try and connect the cul-de-sacs, as the gentleman spoke of, the existing cul-de-sac with the proposed cul-de-sac. That would require take of property because there's a property line of the houses around the cul-de-sac that actually own that land. So you would have to take that land in order to connect those cul-de-sacs, or at least acquire that land. And then again, you have a egress, ingress onto Taft Highway on the south side. Could the map be revised to add another one towards the west side, southwest side of the development? It could, but that's not, again, not of what's being considered in front of your commission tonight. I would like to clarify a couple comments made, if I could. Vice Chair.
Yes,
Vice Chair
please.
Dosh. Okay, thank you. So I do know page 1 of the staff report does say that the request is for a 1-year extension of time, and we do address the moratorium on page 3. I would also like to clarify in the timeline on page 2, this map actually expires April 20th, not the 25th, and that's based on when it was initially approved back in 2005. I would also like to note that we have this request stamped in on April 15th, which is prior to the expiration date, and we will accept requests come in up to before it expires. So you can submit the day prior, request an extension of time, and that's all we need. It doesn't have to be a formal application as long as you let us know of your intent. We will then take that and process that. We do try to have a timely hearing in front of your commission, but at times if there's something unique, it may take a little bit longer, such as the case here. Staff still believes it's prudent to approve a 1-year extension of time. In part, that is because staff's reading of the government code is it shall not exceed 5 years, so your commission could potentially approve a moratorium for 6 months, a year, but it shall not exceed 5 years. So since this map owner, maybe not this one specifically, but there's been 17 years to address this one condition of rerouting the canal, I would like to note that that is a self-imposed condition, meaning that canal was there and they decided that they would develop the site by moving the canal. So it's the condition's there because of the way the project was designed. So again, within this next year, if your commission approves this 1-year extension time as requested by staff, that would give them additional time to work with Kern Delta and approach and come back to your commission, and you can judge how much work has been done or how far along they are, and if you want to approve a moratorium at that time, that would be at your discretion. If not, I mean, you've heard comments, compelling comments that there's safety issues, and maybe after 17 years, it's time for the site to be redesigned. That's the comments I have. Staff's available if there's any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question. Thank you for that information and for the correction that there are actually 3 points of entrance and egress here, 2 on the north and 1 on the south, right? So we'd be looking, you said that if there were 1 on the southwest, that would be a taking. My question is, are those lots already developed in that southwest corner?
Commissioner Neal, the taking would be more for if you wanted to connect the cul-de-sacs on, I'll just say right in the middle on the northern side.
Yeah.
Where you can see where it comes down. If they wanted a new access on the Taft Highway on the southwest corner, a revised map would be necessary.
But as far as we can see on this map, that whole western portion of this map really does just have 1 point of entrance on the north side.
I mean, depending on how you want to access the neighborhood.
So do you have to?
These are all internal streets. So as they were talking about going down Rolling Rock Avenue, where the one gentleman said that they are speeding, but this western side of that project can access Rolling Rock Avenue out onto Acres and then down. or north or south.
What about over here by Panama Elementary? I know the school abuts the west side of this development. Is there any exit on Taft besides the one at Van Horn and Taft?
None that was approved by your not this planning commission, but the planning commission in 2005. And none that was proposed by the applicant at that time.
Got it. Okay. And just for clarification, the southwestern portion of this tract, are the homes already built? No.
This map may be a little bit difficult to see, but you can see phase 1, phase 2, and the unrecorded portion. So the unrecorded, there's no homes in this area, no.
But phase 1 and phase 2 are done?
Phase 1 is done and phase 2 is under construction.
And so essentially the extension of time is for them to be able to continue development in the unrecorded portion?
And in the unrecorded portion on the approved map, yes.
Got it. Okay.
That's correct.
One last question, and I'm sorry, and this is just because I'm new. Have the rules changed in the past 17 years about how many points of egress and ingress are necessary for a tract like this? Because it seems to me that looking at this map that there really isn't enough entrance and egress.
I'm gonna have
Safety,
Ernie
thank you.
Medina, our fire department representative, come forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Medina.
Bernie Medina, Bakersfield Fire. The rules have changed. 2012, once the houses were required to have sprinklers, only one entrance is required.
Only one entrance is required because houses have to be sprinklered. Prior to houses being sprinklered, additional exits and entrances were required. But with the code change, there's more safety with houses being sprinklered, so therefore the number of access points has been reduced. Could be reduced.
Sorry, I don't want to drag this out, but I do have one more question. Is this common, from the city staff, to see a tract like this that's this old that only has this many entrances? Is this common or is this unusual?
No.
Okay, that's just for so it's not unusual.
Not for a tract this old, no.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment. I want to recognize the neighbors that came to talk this afternoon because it's very important that this process work and that you have an opportunity to speak. We find ourselves weighing two things. The tentative map has already been approved several years ago before most of these members were on the planning commission. And I don't know that we would have approved anything different if we did it today. I don't know. And so we're faced with this balance between the neighbors' concerns and the property rights of the developer that owns the tract and has an approved tentative map. So we're kind of in a catch-22 a little bit ourselves. And so although we may individually as commissioners have opinions on things that maybe should be done differently, it's not within our purview at this time to mandate or demand any changes to the tentative map. I did want to ask staff, when you talked about this map, this extension of time, this is the 1 year is to record the map, is that correct? The map has to be recorded by the end of this period of time.
That is correct.
All right. And has sufficient work been submitted to even allow that to happen in the next 12 months?
They've already recorded 2 phases. So it would be my understanding if they could resolve this condition that the next phase could record.
But don't you have to have street and gutters before you can get a recorded map?
It doesn't have to be constructed. They could bond for it.
I see.
To get the map recorded, and then they'd have a certain time frame that they'd have to construct it.
So they can get this done in the next year if they get this issue resolved?
It seems like it's all
right.
pending on
Okay.
the
Thank you.
canal.
Any other comments or questions?
All right, I got elected to go. All right, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Here we go. All right, few key points that I'm looking at. One, this map was granted in 2005. I won't have any questions for you, sir. Thank you. So there's been ample time to work through issues. I hear the neighbors, and it would be nice to have another access out onto Taft Highway, but fire said we need less access because of the requirements of the fire sprinklers, so that there isn't as there's actually more than that's needed. I for traffic, and I hear you, but there's really nothing that we can say to point to, because we have to point to something that says this is a health and safety issue, and I don't have anything to point to. Because it's back to what Commissioner Coleman said, the owner has rights. They have private property rights, like you have private property rights that people can't take away from you either. So we are limited in that. This map was given to them 17 years ago, and with that map, they have rights. So I'd like to help you, but I don't see a way to help you. So back to what the application is before us is an application for a 1 year. It's pretty common. This is quite unusual of having this kind of controversy over a map. But staff analyzed the application and determined through our municipal code, state law, all the things that the smart lawyers know what to do. And they have determined a timeline and how this thing should go. And the applicant has had 17 years, and there is an avenue available to proceed with your development moratorium, but it's not tonight. It's within a year. So I'd be happy to support staff's recommendation, and I'll look for other commissioners.
"17 years is a long time. I think I graduated high school in 2005, so that says a lot. And this area, obviously, we do need housing. If we do approve this extension of time, is there anything that we can do to make sure this housing does finish? Because I would hate to live in a neighborhood that's been under construction for 17 years. Is there a way to make sure that this first and second phase gets finished so that they can live their lives?"
I'm sorry, was that directed to staff? Could you
Or
repeat?
both, really.
As was commented on earlier, Phase 1 was constructed years ago, and as some of the speakers have noted, they've been living there for a long time. It's Phase 2 that's currently under construction, and we're working on developing those homes in a very expeditious manner and sensitive to the surrounding neighbors. They're there are homeowners that we still consider them, customers of ours, and we do our work in a manner that addresses the surrounding neighborhood, because we all live in neighborhoods where sometimes there's construction nearby, and we're very sensitive to the concerns of them. And it seems most of the concerns were on the number of options for ingress and egress, and that's been discussed. And we will continue to construct phase 2 in a manner that's very sensitive to the surrounding properties, and also we'll try to get through it in as expeditiously and safely as we can, so that the construction period will not be any longer than it has to be. That's our intention on phase 2. Phase 3 is bare land because we have not been able to develop that property yet.
And Commissioner Biddle, from staff's standpoint, we're here to facilitate construction, but we are not developers. But if we can assist, we will.
Can I make a comment? Seeing that the unrecorded portion for which the extension is on the table is also the part of the development where there is no entrance and egress, and also the part where this developer would really have to work through some hurdles with the canal. I think I would take staff's recommendation, because I think that's going to be an uphill battle anyway, over the course of the next year. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. I just want to thank the neighborhood. I'm sorry, the gentleman that came from the neighborhood to voice your concern and your passion for your community and your safety. As a father, I take that very serious, and I would encourage you to show up to the right meetings, call your city council member, get involved. That's how real change is affected, and we have to continually do that for our community in order for our community to be strong. I wish this was a different kind of meeting where we could do something different about that, but it's not. But I will encourage you, I hope, and I really hope that your passion continues to burn for your kids in your houses, in your neighborhood, and that you'll continue to fight for it to be safe and well for you and your family. So thank you, and I do appreciate your time. We definitely hear your voice tonight too. So. I don't know. Can you come to the microphone? Yeah.
I know that this is not from the questions that we have for you guys is not from this. We just got this letter saying that they were building 140 houses. And I'm pretty sure it's a flooding issue, right? Later on in the future. It's a canal. It's a flooding issue. I'm pretty sure. You never know. You've seen issues where concrete has collapsed, and when Medina said that our homes has sprinklers, so basically, if our homes are on fire, there's not going to be any fire departments pulling out my house out. You understand? Okay. He said that our homes are equipped with sprinklers, right? So basically, if one neighborhood or one house gets on fire, we're not going to be in need of help from the fire department. So basically, the sprinklers are going to turn off the house by itself. Obviously, we're going to need at least on Stein Acres. There's plenty of space, and the west, there's by the school behind. There's a lot of space too, where they could do another entrance. But I know the constructions, they want to. I don't say make money, but I mean, we could do something about it. And I understand that this hearing is not about our issue right now, is that we bought the home 3 or 4 years ago saying that there wasn't going to be any construction nearby our sites, so that's why we bought the home. So now we got this letter a couple of weeks ago saying that if they're building 140 homes now, we heard about this hearing, so that's why we came. I know it's not from the hearing from right now, but like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll be in contact and see hopefully we could do some changes. But thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask one question? I'm not going to argue my point anymore. There's a question that came to my mind based upon staff's recommendation. Staff's recommendation is that we should resubmit in a year. And there's also discussion, Commissioner Coleman raised the question to clarify that we have to record before the expiration of our map. And it's also my understanding that once we submit an application, if it hasn't been heard before our map expires, then it automatically extends 60 days to allow for a hearing on that extension. And I guess my question is, I'm just trying to understand what our options are if the commission does go with the recommendation. If we were to submit an application next year and we record it after April 20th, but before the extension hearing is heard, would that still be processed by the city council? Do you know, or does planning go? I'm just wondering if planning has a policy on that. I'm just trying to understand. If you understand my question, yes.
Yeah, please, staff.
So again, as long as the extension request is submitted before the expiration, staff will allow that extension to continue until your commission hears the request. So if you were to record within that time before we can get it to hearing, then I would say that, yes, that would be fine. Because, I mean, you would be that close anyway to doing that, and we would already know that this condition is going to be satisfied. What we don't want to happen by accepting extensions too soon is, let's just say one of the other ones where you just granted a 3-year extension and they come back, a first time 3-year extension, and they come back a month later and say, now I want my other 3 years, and that gives them, really 6 years. We want that more of a timely consideration, which is again why, in general, 60 days prior, if you can submit no sooner than 60 days prior, then we can usually get it to hearing before the expiration date. And that's always our goal. But we understand things happen, for instance, COVID, and you get extensions that come in, the day prior, and we accept those.
And the map automatically extends 60 days once that timely application is submitted?
It would extend, if I may, it would extend until your commission considers it.
Okay.
Whether that's 60 days or if we can get it to hearing in 30 days, that extension would go until your commission makes a decision whether or not to allow, in this case, a moratorium or not.
But if it's ready to go to city council and we miss a city council agenda and we're past the April 20th date, would planning department still process it for city council approval for final map, or would they wait for the commission to hear it?
If you're waiting, if the applicant's waiting on, also in this case it'd be Public Works to get it to city council, as long as that is in and done before the expiration date.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
And I would like to note for the members in the audience, it was 140 lots total in this tract. There's only 53 houses remaining after phase 2. So there's only 53 houses that are remaining. It's just 140 total within this tract.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gary. And out of respect for these homeowners, I'm one of the owners of the tract. And I think there's a couple misunderstandings about the canal. So the canal is for farm water. Farmers that have rights to that water have a choice to either pump groundwater or above ground water, and there's advantages and disadvantages to them. It has nothing to do with the fire and safety issues that were raised. Also, in designing a track, we rely on the engineers who are a lot smarter than me and perhaps some on my team. And so they look at the entrance and the exits, and they look at the traffic. And the idea with a lot of these cul-de-sacs, it actually creates a quieter, probably less traffic. So I feel that they haven't experienced that. And I'm not sure why, but the idea with so many communities, if you look at different tracks, there's a lot of cul-de-sacs because the idea is only people that live on that street are driving down it. So we kind of encourage cul-de-sacs and limit in entrance and exits because we're hoping the community is just the community itself and you're not inviting outside traffic. And then the challenge we have on Taft Highway is certainly Caltrans has expressed their interest in trying to keep that a highway. And so when you have exits and entrances on there, that can create an unsafe intersection. And so it was deemed safer to have the community in itself and come out on acres. So I apologize for the inconvenience that some of that's created, but that was the reasoning behind those designs. And we certainly wouldn't want to support designing something that would go contrary to that.
Thank you.
May I ask the question for Gary? May I?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. One of the comments that was raised by some of the residents was the activity that's going on with Phase 2 construction right now.
Yes, sir.
Is impeding the roads that they're using to, navigate the community. And it seemed to me that either you have unfinished roads or you have construction equipment and things blocking those roads. Have you had a chance to go out there and look at that condition? And
we drove the track today,
Okay.
and I'm not sure I saw any construction traffic on Phase 1 side. There is a small part of Phase 1 that goes across acres, and I believe that's where the traffic is. And I was hoping these gentlemen would give me an opportunity to give them my card and make myself available with my cell phone. So if they have an issue, I'd like to know about it. We're very sensitive to the time, and sometimes during the summer when it gets extremely hot, the trades need to start a little earlier so they're not dying in the heat. But we really try to accommodate the noise issue. We're very concerned about construction traffic, so we have certain policies in place that are trying to minimize that. And I certainly would, walk with somebody out there and have them point out to me where that's being, it's not practical or they're not abiding by the proper rules that we've instructed.
Thank you. So I hope that the homeowners will take advantage of the developer's offer to provide his contact information so you can talk to him directly about some of your issues, and so you can hopefully resolve those issues that he can. At least you'll have some dialogue. So I appreciate that offer. Thank you very much.
I think Commissioner want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve staff's recommendation and extend this map for 1 year.
I'll second that.
Lomas and Biddle.
Motion is approved with Chair Cater and Commissioner Wade absent.
Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Vice Chair Bashir Tosh, may I read the appeal for this?
Yes, please.
So decisions of the commission are subject to appeal by any person that believes they are adversely affected. The appeal must be filed in writing within 10 days from the date of the commission's decision. The decision must be addressed to the City Council and include the appellant's interest in or relationship to the project, identify the decision appealed, and address facts and reasons why the commission's decision should not be upheld. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7, communications.
Does staff any communication items?
I would note that we do have a meeting in 2 weeks on June 16th, at which time there will be a workshop on pro-housing policies, so your commission may find that of interest.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, next item.
Agenda item number 8, commission comments.
Does any commissioner have any comments?
I didn't get a chance to, I asked questions, but I didn't get a chance to thank the members of the public, of the communities for coming today. I would love to see our communities more engaged in the beginning parts of the process where these maps are being drawn and these questions are coming up so that we can consider your arguments, which I understand sooner in the process rather than later. So thank you for coming, though. And if you see any notice like the one you received, encourage people to come out a lot sooner. All right. And call city staff. Yeah.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Agenda item number 9, adjournment.
Thank you.